let's go ahead and move on. And Man Mode, you can do us the honor of introducing what I think is just an unbelievable
Undisputable
show. Eizouken Teo Dasuna, or Keep Your Hands Off the
Eizouken is fucking awesome. All right? It's about this boy who one day discovers Astro Boy, pretty much, and he falls in love with the world of animation. And he has this perspective of like, oh, I love drawing, but there's nothing I can really do about it. It's really hard to get into the industry and start animation. But then he meets this fantastic girl who is so fucking cheerful and great. She's super rich. Her family doesn't want her to do animation, but she's super into it. And they have the third friend who is basically a based capitalist and definitely the best girl of the show, who is like, all right, you true. Boys, a boy and girl?
Or girl and girl, or boy and... It's unclear.
Okay, whatever. I thought it was a boy and a girl. But
I mean, she wears a skirt, right? Isn't this kind of a giveaway?
They all wear skirts.
Yeah, but there are boys in the school who wear the uniform.
Okay, if she's a girl, she's a girl.
Pants.
I don't know.
So
it doesn't
matter. I thought it was a girl.
Okay.
Apparently... Econ was saying something on Twitter about USA having said the show was gender neutral.
I saw that,
really?
and if USA said that, I think he's fucking retarded because, like, I mean, they're wearing skirts at a school where you boys wear pants and girls wear skirts.
That's not true because I'm looking at the pictures and it looks like one of the girls is wearing pants. The rich girl is wearing. Or is that just like a shorter
bro, watch the episode again. I'm telling you.
It's really funny that the main character was wearing a skirt and you still thought of it as a boy.
I don't know. Maybe I was...
They are definitely gender ambiguous. That's definitely
true. But the point is, so this third girl, the capitalist one, she's like, all right, you two are going to make anime and you're going to do it because you're young and you have literally nothing to lose and I'm going to profit off of it.
She's the best. She's the best.
Eizouken is just so fucking great and optimistic. It's fantastic. What do you guys think?
It's spiral as fuck, dude.
My God.
It's spiral as fuck. I loved it.
That's definitely true.
I might have cried a few times. It was one of the best opening episodes of anime I think I've ever fucking seen. So this is the new show from Masaaki Yuasa and Studio Science Saru. After having just absolutely killed the 2010s, I just got done making all my 2010s lists and. Just Yuasa.
He's so fucking prolific
Galaxy,
too.
Night is Short, Walk On Girl, fucking
sure
Devilman Crybaby, Ping Pong, all these amazing shows, many of which have amazing first episodes, and this was still the best first episode, I think, of all of them. And it's just the sheer love for animation. And this is the show that it's almost cheating. Anybody who loves animation... You're gonna have to love
if
this
you're
show.
A creator of any kind, if you're an artist, I think you can relate to this.
Yeah, you will resonate with this, no doubt.
Certainly as just a guy who makes anime videos.
Oh my, I fell in love with it so quickly.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that so integral to this show is the existence of Future Boy Conan, which I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of it. I've seen the first 4 episodes. It was Miyazaki's debut as a director. Right. His 39 episode TV show, I think. And in this episode, there are scenes from the show, but they had to completely redraw them. They were able to get the rights to use the clips, but not the actual drawings from the show. So they redrew these clips, which looks awesome because it doesn't look exactly the same as the original. They did. I saw it was
style. Renamed as well. They gave it like a non-copyright version. I forget what it was, but it was slightly different. But the intention was clear.
But it's so beautiful to see that. Like, not only do they reanimate this old show that they clearly love, but the characters are talking about how amazing the animation is and how just all these different unique elements, and then the show itself that we're watching encapsulates them perfectly, and it's just like it's
almost like it's flexing. It's like the guy is talking about all this cool shit that animators do, and the cool shit is being done on the screen.
Bro, that's what Yuasa does. He just flexes the entire. I was watching Ride Your Wave the other day, his new film, and he just flexes his entire directing style.
Yeah.
He's a king. He's a king of animation.
But with this one, thematically, it's very much like the message is in the medium kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? I didn't know this, and I mean, I just went and looked it up. But like, so it's based on a manga, and it's being adapted by USA. Yeah. So like, you've got to imagine that like during the process. So this is a manga about how amazing anime is. Obviously, that whoever I didn't look it up, like who wrote it or whatever. Obviously, like if you could make that into an anime, that would sure be like the best thing you could do to evolve into the medium that you are speaking about. So you got to think that like a lot of thought and a lot of care was put into who was selected to like bring this thing to life.
No,
and so like
you're actually there's a story, which is that Yuasa literally his fans told him he would be good for adapting this manga, so he looked into it. And
really? That's awesome.
That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And I mean, as you're saying, like obviously it's a show about a love to the medium of anime. And like I was thinking about it a lot as I was watching it, and it seems that it's about creation in general, but obviously most specifically, at least with Midori, the main character, it's almost like a love letter, especially with episode 1, specifically about concept design. That's what like episode 1 is all about, because like it's so telling, and that's why I love doing these like Weebcast style, Weebcast 2.0, whatever fucking thing we're doing here, where I can watch like all these shows and compare all their different strengths and weaknesses, and like this compared to, I don't know, any of that other shit. Like there's that rugby anime that we'll get to a little bit later. Like,
we'll get to
okay, sure, that's anime original. Way to go, guys. You sure did shot reverse shot with like a bunch of pretty Bishoujo boys standing around in a room. And we'll talk about that more. And we're like, oh, wow, there's like a plot? Amazing. Great job, guys. But like in this show, there's so much. I mean, like the understated character we haven't really referenced yet is the city that they're in itself, and how it's so crazily designed, intentionally so, like a fucking like a Ghibli environment or whatever. Well, specifically so that like that it inspires our main character to use this as a setting for the anime she wants to make, and then
even though this already is the setting of an anime being made right now,
right? How convenient that worked out.
I'm so excited to see more of that, man.
The city is so beautiful, and there's a fixation on, like you said, concept design and maps, I think, in this. And I was truly blown away because I made a video a few years ago called How Hayao Miyazaki Maps a Setting, using Future Boy Conan as an example of how Miyazaki will show lots of flyover shots when he first introduces a setting, or he'll show like, you know, he wants you to know exactly where you are. Characters always move, you know, across the screen in the same direction when they're going somewhere. Like, you understand where things are in relationship to one another, which makes the setting immediately feel real, because it's obvious to the audience when nothing has been imagined beyond this classroom, you know, or this hallway. Like when we see the full thing, then we go, oh, okay, I know where everything is in relationship to each other. It's like I live there myself. And so this show like uses those techniques while literally saying like, yeah, Miyazaki is how we learn to do this. You know, like this, he is how Miyazaki maps a setting is now how we map a setting. And there's this scene where she's showing all of like her maps that she's drawn to the character, and it looks like concept art. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, that is concept art. Somebody had to draw that. Like, somebody had to draw the fake concept art for this show, you know, that is itself for this show, basically, you know, like recursively, which incidentally, Masaaki Yuasa is the one who drew all those maps that are in that shot. So it is his production work that she's showing off. Like, the fact that there's that line where the other girl says, like, oh, you're a set design, like, you do setting design, that's so great, because, like, most people only do character art. And it's like, yeah, you really have to be, like, passionate about this particular thing. There's not a ton of people who draw backgrounds.
Did you like that Midori, at the beginning, she says that, like, when she was young, she wanted to be an adventurer, an explorer. So, like, it's not like she always wanted to be specifically someone who, like, abstracts environments, that she had a passion for, like, the world she lives in and the exploration of the things directly around her. And she uses that passion of things in the real world to bring to life, like, fictional environments. And, like, I think that's exactly what Miyazaki talked about about, it always does, about how you should bring life experience into what you're animating, not just like do the regurgitating of anime tropes over and over again, which we see in so many other shows that we're going to talk about.
It's that reality that gives it life and that gives it a meaning beyond just being anime.
Let me just ask you one question, guys. Can you tell me anything about the setting of Rugby Show that we're going to talk about? Tell me where that happened.
Hall, dude.
Tell me how they interacted with the environment. What the fuck did they do? As opposed to, how about the one fucking scene that I got like 2 examples here that blew me away in the show where they're chasing Rich Girl to try to see if she's okay. She's up on a stage, and these two duck down as the camera pans down to this mysterious little like under place that they move aside like stuff on the shelf so they can peer through and get closer to hear what they're talking about. The immersion you get into the scene and feeling of like how real this environment is incredible, and it's a little more lampshaded in when they're specifically walking through the town and they're showing Rich Girl like the sights of like the poor side of town or whatever, and like they walk into the laundromat, which for no reason, just as a giant air conditioner directly in the doorway that they have to stop, duck under, and walk in, which just gives this one little environment so much more life. Like, what person in this world chose to put that there? Like, I'm like annoyed at them, but that person doesn't exist. This is a trick of like the set design that gives this environment so much more life, and the fact that like the inside of the interior is surprisingly big and luxurious, and there's a waiting room upstairs where they chill and relax, and they have their whole scene discovering each other's passion for animation. Like, all of this is exactly what misses from so much of your shit when you just care about, like, I don't know, the cute characters discussing their current like differences of opinion on rugby technique. Or I'm not trying to beat up on that show too much, but yeah, you
also,
get my point.
I love how like rough sometimes the show looks. Like, some of the buildings are just like scribbles that everyone can do. And what I just find so fascinating about that is that it's an anime made by like professionals. We are talking about like best in the industry. But I think through these kind of simplistic drawings, it kind of gives you hope. Like, as someone who's wanting to start on animation, it kind of gives you hope that you can do that too someday, because it's not so much about the technical skill. It's just getting started. Put the pen on the paper and create, and the skill will come later with experience. And that's thematically what the show is about.
Oh, just on that point, let's just address that, like, we see, like, the concept art animated later on, and it's beautiful and amazing, but the scene earlier at the beginning, when Midori is just a kid, and we see her just individual, like, ballpoint pen drawing that world coming to life as we then explore that as, like, an animated set with that limited art style, blew my fucking mind! I was, like, so blown away by that sequence. And then the fact that we see that kind of revisited with all the improvements to art she's made growing up.
I'd nearly forgotten about that just because there's so much shit that's good in this episode.
Yeah. My mind kept getting blown.
But in context, I mean, it's so nuts. And on the subject of like the artwork, I just want to say like all the character designs are so... They stand out so distinctly. Like, for example, you've just got Midori, like, with her gender ambiguity and her, like, weird hat. What the fuck is that hat? Why is she wearing that hat? I don't know, but I notice that, like, her backpack and, like, all her shit is also camo. Is there, like, a theme going on here? Is she trying to go unnoticed in this environment? I don't know. Or just like, I expected the third wheel here, once I kind of learned about the characters, to be, what's it, fucking Kana, the tall one, whose name I can't remember.
Sayaka.
Sayaka, yeah. How, like, considering she's the one who's not really invested in anime, I was kind of expecting her to be a drag on the whole production. Plus, she has this kind of ugly skeletal face.
I love her.
But then, once the story gets rolling, she not only is, like, surprisingly charming looking with, like, her simplistic art design that can just, I don't know, like, something about her skull-like face just is so enticing, and the way she's always looking for money and shit, and her, I don't know, just her fucking conniving asshole way of being around these friends. She has like the most personality of any of the characters, and is like my favorite character.
In spite of like her being profit motivated, and like she makes it this explicitly clear. This is not a selfless thing for her. She is selfish here, right? But the show doesn't like look down on that. It doesn't make it seem like it's a bad thing. And I'm just so fucking sick of like making money bad in every show I watch nowadays. Right. And it was just such a breath of fresh air of seeing
Also,
that being rewarded.
I noticed how she's incredibly tall, and this motherfucker drinks more milk than any person I've seen on the fucking planet. This is obviously not a coincidence. This is a pro-milk propaganda film.
The dairy
being
companies,
pushed
man, they're
by
sponsoring the fuck
this
out of it, I guess.
yeah, no doubt. They're in with USA. I just love that this tall ass character, like her gimmick seems to be, among other things, drinks a ton of milk. Hilarious.
Didn't even pick up
I
on
didn't
that.
also.
Right? Subtext, baby. Subtext.
Sayaka, so she has the big rousing speech she gives to the other two about like why, like, just fucking do it, just go and do it, and like it's so.
Your
really
parents
think,
say you can't be in the anime club? We'll make our
Well,
own
fuck
legally
'em,
distinct
right.
anime club. Fuck yes.
Well, that's the
Problem
thing.
solved.
So many young people. This is, I think, one of the biggest problems I faced as a kid. That I wish I could re-educate myself on. This is that young people don't know the scope of what they can get away with.
Yeah.
They think rules are way more powerful than they are. Basically,
Yeah.
when rules are basically suggestions that you should pretty much break as often as possible. That's my advice. But yeah, like if she's just like, dude, you're thinking about this. You're not thinking about this like dynamically enough. Like, yeah, you can't join the anime club, but we can make another club. Like, there's always a workaround. Like if you're
that's one of the
passionate
main
about
reasons.
this, do not give up. Find a workaround. Find something that
Even
works. Which is, sorry, that's kind of the core of the like otaku hero's journey idea that I always talk about. Is the idea of it's not good enough to ever say die. Like you always have to keep fighting, because even if you lose, you would never have. There's no way to win if you stop. Like
That's like the primary shonen virtue of like the shonen hero.
So it's just like, hey, I know that it seems like you can't do this, but are you going to live with yourself being somebody who didn't do this, or are you going to fucking find a way? And that's her attitude, and like it's important. I think that's important as the attitude of a producer, and like it's a good way to show why a producer is valuable. Like what they add is that they, sure, they don't have the ideas, but the idea people are fucking lost in their heads. These are
if you've got a bunch of idea people sitting around and they dream of making an anime, but they know it's like a 10-man production and it's going to take them 2 years to get it done or whatever, like the producer is the one who gives the opportunity of those people to be able to make their dream project, which is a totally undervalued part of the team, at least in like popular culture or whatever, and should be treated as
they're
such.
also important to recognizing your talents and helping you to make executive decisions, because artists are really down on themselves. Like artists will not publish their work. They'll be like, oh, it's not good enough, or I don't know, will anybody like this? And the publisher is the one, or the producer is the one who will be like, no, you got to make this. Like you don't even worry about whether it's going to be popular. That falls on my shoulders. Like that's my job. You worry about making the thing. And I'll tell you if you're fucking up. So I think that's I'm really happy that character exists in this show and that they're taking her seriously as the producer character. I think US.
I hadn't even thought of that.
I
haven't even thought of that, but that makes sense.
I thought of it, but he also has said it in like an interview. I think.
Okay, there you go.
That like they are meant to represent like the three kind of core like elements of an anime production.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how her role. I was like, she's got to be involved in this somehow, but that seems like a perfect fit. Can't wait to see more.
Yeah. So
it makes me like her even more than I already did.
Love the characters. We got to talk about some more of the scenes, because that part you were talking about with the stage. I think of that as sort of a vertical slice of like the themes of the show, and like what it's trying to say. So earlier, when they're pushing Miyazaki in Future Boy Conan, there's a scene where they're pushing this big like flying device out of the ground, and she points out that even though this device is completely alien and doesn't look like anything we understand, because they push it like a car, it gives you the feeling that it's real, that it makes sense, that like even if this logic, like why the fuck would this thing need to be pushed? What technology is running? It doesn't matter. It feels real because they pushed it. And so during the scene where they're on stage, they run up this set of stairs, and there's a guy who's following them up the stairs, and they start pulling on these levers at the top of the stairs. So one of the levers opens up a trap door, I believe, and then another one, which is comical because you see it open and you're like, oh, well, that's not helpful. and then they pull another one, and it causes like the curtains to fall, and the guy's still advancing up the stairs. Then they pull the third one, the stairs turn into a slide, and he slides into the previously opened pit.
Hilarious.
It was awesome.
Hilarious
It feels
moment.
perfectly logical for this to happen because we've seen there's so much setup, there's so much like we understand that okay, it's funny that there are these levers that do things on the stage, and because they missed the first time, it feels way more realistic. It's like, oh, haha, it would have opened a trapdoor, and that would have been ridiculous, but then it's even more ridiculous because it's a slide into a trapdoor, but you totally buy it, even though if she had just pulled the lever and it had turned into a slide in a trapdoor, it would have seemed fucking ridiculous, but it's such a good scene, such a good payoff, and that is basically exactly what she was describing. It feels real, even though it's totally ridiculous because of the setup. Fucking just practicing what you preach well. And
that OP too.
There's also amazing scene. Oh, I forgot to mention the fucking music in this show.
The music was great.
This was the fastest. The fastest.
This is the greatest opening song I've heard in like 10
I
fucking
love
years.
Easy Breezy.
Easy Breezy is hands down one of the most awesome openings of ever. It's so fucking sick. I cannot wait for the full version.
Just
I've been listening to this on
show
loop
perfectly. It's
sick.
It's a show that promotes like optimism, joy, and excellence. And I feel like the opening is perfect.
Yeah.
And fun, man. And it's
I said joy. Stop adding things, Jack.
Okay, buddy. I'll fucking kill you right now.
Even aside from the OP though, just the soundtrack, it's weird. It's experimental. It's got lots of cool noises in it. I was like, this is only maybe once every couple of years does a show come out where I hear the music and I think like I want to listen to that on my own time like regularly. And this is one of those.
Made in Abyss was one of those for me.
Yeah.
Do you did you guys appreciate?
Did you end up listening to Made in Abyss OST regularly?
I listened to that thing on loop. I fucking love the OST of Made in Abyss. Yeah, it's incredible.
Same.
But especially like kind of the big moment songs. But like there's well, I was gonna say in this show, did you guys appreciate that when they're doing both in the beginning like sketch art? Like concept art, animated sequence, as well as the one we see later on, the more detailed one, that like it was the characters doing the sound effects themselves with their voices of the things that was happening, visually.
You're picking up on so many things, man.
That emotionally without even
I
noticing.
remember that was awesome.
I watched this episode twice.
Awesome.
I loved it so much.
I should rewatch this first episode.
It was such a joy.
Oh, so good.
I mean, honestly, I kept
will.
watching it back just to hear Easy Breezy again a couple of times. But God, that song is so fucking sick.
That's great.
And I was the other thing about it was, I mean, obviously, I'm just kind of restating some of the things we've said, but like the most amazing moment for me when I really understood what the series was trying to teach me was like the biggest moment when they're doing their whole, we're imagining now our combined storyboard, like our anime in this world with the art from other character and I can't remember their fucking names, but you know what I'm talking about. When they're acting it out and they're doing the like wing chase thing, and there's the whole sequence of hot girl or model girl. She just drew a little pod. And then the other character's like, oh, okay, what does this pod do? And so they're walking us through the exact exercise of what you need to do when you're building a world for population with your anime dialogue and characters, whatever the fuck.
But they explain it, but then it just keeps happening beyond that to like further and further detail. And the scene where they designed the flying machine, the
dragonfly, whatever.
Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, it looks like something out of a Miyazaki work. But like the way that through the animation the thing is like built, where like when the third character gets inside, like a new chair is drawn in, and all these panels and stuff, and like it felt so, because if you watch a lot of classic anime, then you know that like otaku are like fetishistic about the attention to detail in a machine. Like every part has to make sense, even if it just looks like it's just there to look like a sci-fi machine. Like, it has to look like a real sci-fi machine, you know? And they pull that off just in, like, they don't even explain why all these details are here, but, like, it's being drawn into the background. Just this gorgeously designed, very, like, increasingly realistic feeling mech, basically.
And seeing our characters on the, like, sketchy art style that it's obviously designed to represent, fucking sick. Looked so cool.
It's just like, I mean, when I create something, like, the more into it I get, the more detailed it becomes. You know, it's like, all right, he's gonna have this sword that goes really fast. So, you know, like, well, then what if it's made out of wind? And then, like, the wind comes from the tribe in the north who, you know, this is the history of how that wind came to be through the passage of, you go all the way back to the fucking, you know, well, God created this world 6,000 years ago.
Peeling the layers back.
You know,
to figure out.
Right, exactly. And it felt like the animation itself was doing that to the, you know, like, to the machine. Like, the characters had already set the ball rolling, and they start discussing how they're adding on to it, but then it just keeps adding.
And you know what? If they just
the
discussed it, that would have been nice. And, you know, seeing it fly was all that. But, like, my favorite part was seeing it pushed to its limits. Because, like, in the concept art, you see things like, there's, like, on the top left, there's, like, a little image that says, like, wings flap independently. And there's a bunch of charts in there. And, like, it all comes to a head when they're doing their, like, more advanced maneuver of, like, okay, we need to get through this crack to avoid the thing chasing us. We have to go on our side. So, like, it's you in the real world. What do you do in the situation when, oh my God, the controls aren't working because we got hit and one of the wings is an opera? What do we do? And they just, like, thinking practically about what you would do. This is what you would see in, like, a real situation. Obviously, it's, you know, you probably would fucking die if you tried this, but they fucking leap out of the window and use their body weight to tilt the machine. That's when it's like they're using their understanding of this, like, literally fictional thing in this fictional world, but they're applying what logic would be used in order to achieve the very specific goal to make, like, a believable, interesting scene that has, like, all the things that they were saying lacks from so many, like, lesser works. Things like weight, momentum, like the feeling and purposes of machines. Like, why are they there? Like Spike Spiegel using the fucking broom in the Cowboy Bebop movie to fight What's-Her-Face. Like, that's the shit you want to see in something like this. And it's exactly what they're demonstrating with that sequence. And it's just basically the coolest thing ever. It just gets you so excited to feel, like, about this medium and interested in seeing, like, what else can they do with this. And I'm not really exactly sure what direction they're going with this show, if it's going to be all about just, like, we're going to just do more of this. But, I mean, I cannot fucking wait for the next episode to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Me neither. The one more scene I wanted to talk about before we move on is when the two girls are putting their papers on top of each other on the window.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember awesome. When I was 11, my aunt had this light board, and I used it to trace a bunch of pictures out of Nintendo Power to create my own magazine. And then once I no longer had access to that light board, it was just kind of like, well, I can't do it anymore, I guess. You know, like, again, it's that mentality of, like, oh, I'm dependent on the things I have. But it's like, here are these girls, not even without even thinking about it, just knowing at this point from having, you know, tried that, just put it up to the window and you can see what they'll look like on top of each other and you can draw that way. And I was just like, man, I'm so glad that they show you, like Man Mode was saying earlier, that this show is, like, instructional. Like, it's meant to motivate and inspire and, like, teach kids how to get into this. And it's like, hey, you don't need a trace board. Hold it up to your fucking window. You know, like, life finds a way.
There's always an alternative. There's always a different way to handle
situations. Like you guys were talking about all the scenes, I really, really appreciate all those. It's all great. It's just personally, the story being like about creators. Yes, it's about the animation, but at a larger scope, the theme is about the creators, right? Which is something that everyone who has ever created anything can relate to. It makes me think about, like, my humble beginnings on getting started and inspired by many creators I was watching online, finding all sorts of, like, excuses not to do it. I don't have a good enough PC. I don't have I don't know how to do it. I don't own a program to do it with, and just learning from being a little baby, like learning how to do fade transitions in Premiere, to now making these long, big, ambitious videos that I'm super happy with. And through this passion, like getting in touch with creators I always looked up to, and meeting new people and learning from them. This is the type of story this is. That's why it appeals to me so much.
You're right, because more than just like that's why my favorite character, despite like the ones who are really doing the kind of heavy lifting intellectually in this episode, are Asuka and Mizusaki, like the two like actual animators. Like Kanamori is my favorite because she's the one who exhibits that drive. That's just it's not about what you're trying to do. It's about having kind of like a generic strength of will to just whatever you want to do, getting it done. And that's what she kind of does more than either of them. And perhaps it's just for purely selfish, greedy reasons. But you know what? That's hilarious in of itself, and I love it anyway.
I think that's what it's going for. It's like greedy, but it benefits others too. It's not like, just...
That's true. That's true.
Basically, it's like an exchange, It's great.
I couldn't agree more. This is a great show. I think I would probably give this like upon rewatch, I still loved it. I think I'd probably give it like a strong 9. So like it could
straight 10 out of 10.
Straight 10. Okay.
There's no way not. I haven't cried twice in the first episode of a show ever. So
I'm just curious. What made you cry? What were the moments?
It was first the moment where she's describing the animation from Future Boy Conan in the theater. That got me a little misty. Mm-hmm. Then when they put the papers up to the window, that was starting
like my
to get
characters
me.
On a background.
And then finally when the big ending sequence, just seeing the thing come to life. The story
and she's like, "It's my
life.
perfect world." There it is.
My favorite scene, which
my
is the
stream
one that
hiccuped
made me
at
cry,
that moment.
is when
very annoying.
The scene that made me tear up is the one where Kanamori gives the whole speech about like, you guys are young, you have nothing to lose, do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Fuck it, man. Figure it out. Do whatever you got to do. Did you guys
before somebody calls me out for streaming? I didn't mean to say my stream hiccuped. It was actually that the computer I was watching the file on was so shit that it hiccuped trying to render that, like trying to play that scene. It the computer couldn't handle it.
Okay, boomer. Whatever, dude.
You've seen that old shitty computer I stream off of.
Guys, unrelated. I have a question. At the beginning, when I was introducing the show, because I just remembered, did I say Astro Boy by chance?
You said Astro Boy.
You did say
Astro Boy. I definitely meant Conan.
It was really embarrassing, dude. It was really embarrassing. I was cringing for you, bro.
I'm so embarrassed right now.
I thought there was something I had forgotten.
No, I definitely meant Conan.
I thought it was a joke.
I meant Conan, but...
I thought you were joking, but it didn't
retardation.
land.
Mistake.
That's what I thought, too.
I just got nervous, guys. Did you put me on the spot?
This is the big one of the season.
For sure.
So
Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it for good reason. It was great. And hopefully it just gets more popular.
Absolutely fantastic.
And
I was going to ask, so the name of the episode is like, keep your hands off Eizouken, is like how it's translated or whatever. Yeah. Does anyone know what Eizouken is? Is that the city? Is that the idea? I don't know what that word means.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's just my theory. I read a little bit of the manga just to see what's going on. I didn't read any further than the story went here, and I was wondering, just thinking of if the name of the series is "Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken," and like there's a lot of emphasis placed on like how beloved like the city they live in is, and how like weird like the architecture of it, and how eclectic it is. I'm wondering if like
no, I found it. It means the Motion Pictures Club.
Oh,
keep your hands off the motion pictures. Oh, okay.
So don't mess with us. Don't mess with us.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah,
I thought this might become a series that's like about protecting the specific environment, and I was like, that would be a weird change.
I think it's going to be more about them trying to protect their right to make anime in the face of people who don't.
I agree. And I love how fucking Mizukami or whatever her name is, like the pretty one, is like my parents, like, I'm allowed to join any club, specifically not anime club. It's the only club. Yeah. And I'm just like, those right there, those are good parents. Those are good parents trying to save their daughter.
Saving them from the stupid autistic medium that it is. So, yeah.
But she's just too autistic.
Yeah.
So there's no
you can't be, unless you're in the show Pet,
powerful.
Then she could be saved, but she's stuck.
Our parents didn't,
you're right.
do a good job either, so we're fucked.
No, they failed. We're fucked. So.